Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Awaken to Happiness Now global series. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm your host, shefaliburns, in case you don't know. And if you're new to me, new to my show, new to my channel on YouTube, please do subscribe so you can take advantage of all the current shows, all the previous shows, all the shows coming up. It is my deepest wish, desire, and intention to bring to you these amazing speakers who are sharing their wisdom, their teachings, their processes, their healings, their clearings, etc., so that we can all thrive, so that we can all awaken to happiness now. And so today, my dear friend Patrick Prohaska is back with us, and we're going to be talking about being your higher self. And so, some of what we're going to talk about today is we're going to learn how to or discover how to unleash the immense power hiding within you. We're going to thrive in the world as your higher self, how to heal the world as a radiant beacon of love and light, how to feel the transformative power of self love, and how to be the magic wand you've been searching for. So I'm excited about this conversation. It's going to be a lot of fun. Patrick is going to be doing some processes as well. And of course, like always, he will be taking some live caller questions. And of course, his processes, as you know, are so powerful. So we really enjoy those. For those of you who may not know Patrick, he is an author and life coach specializing in personal empowerment, consciousness expansion, and sexual healing. Patrick has a bachelor's degree in philosophy of science and a master's degree in the religions of ancient India and developed the Light Bridge system of healing and personal transformation. He's the author of Brain Cells, Escape Your Mental Prisons, and Dream Yourself Awake, The Power of Lucid Living, as well as the forthcoming book, Myths to Stop Living By. So, Patrick, I'm so glad you're here with us. So, everyone, please join me in welcoming Patrick back to the show.
Yeah,
Patrick,
thank you
welcome.
so much. It's always a joy to connect with you, Shivali. It's an honor as well.
We always have so much fun on in these calls and in these conversations, right? There's always so much that comes up. There's always so much to talk about, and of course, like I said, your processes that you do, clearings, activations, are so powerful. We really feel them, and we can feel that transformation happening right on the call. So I'm excited about today's show, today's conversation, and of course, the topic being your higher self. Oh my goodness, I love that. So, Patrick, you've been on our show many times. We also seem to be sharing parallel lives
Hmm.
as well in
That
many
is
ways
true.
and have been for many years now, right?
Hmm.
And this topic of being your higher self is again, like I said, very dear to me because I believe that is what we are here to be, to embody our higher selves, live as our higher selves, be our higher selves in all ways, right? So
Yes.
there's always so much to talk about, Patrick. So I want to, you know how I am. I just like go right into it, and I always have questions that are not exactly the scripted questions that people want, but it's like what is coming to me, right? So, um, I will try and stay in point. But so let's quickly talk about so that people don't have any misconceptions and we can all be on the same page. What is the higher self, and why do you feel that it is a powerful source for radical transformation?
Yeah, thank you. Well, there are lots of different higher sources you can turn to for energy and guidance and so forth. And the higher self is one of them. And I prefer to turn to the higher self rather than angels, archangels, Buddhas, and so forth, source or the universe, which are all beautiful, beautiful sources of information and energy to turn to. I don't reject any of those. I turn to them in times of need myself when it feels appropriate. But your higher self is actually you without all of the limiting belief systems and traumatic residue and negative expectations and so forth that bog you down in this three-dimensional reality. So you actually are your higher self. Your higher self is the version of you that exists in higher dimensionality. And we have these egoic personas that we take on in which we think that we're individual and separate and distinct from everybody else, and we're distinct from our environment. And then we're in this three-dimensional world where we need to figure out how to navigate it safely. We need to avoid dangers that might be threatening to us. We need to be constantly vigilant of the potential dangers are in our environment. And it seems like there are more and more dangers all the time. So our perspective as individual egoic personas or human personas is very limited and very much based on the negative experiences you've had in the past and your sense of ego and the traumas that you've experienced that kind of repeat themselves on autopilot because that energy is stuck in your system. So I like to turn to the higher self because the higher self knows you intimately. It is you. It is you without all of that baggage. It's you before you began to take on the three-dimensional baggage. And hopefully for everyone on the call, it's what you are actively striving to grow into. We are on this grand journey to learn how to navigate our three-dimensional reality, but also have consciousness expansion and awareness of higher dimensionality and tapping into higher dimensional tools and so forth, all of which your higher self enjoys effortlessly. Your higher self basks in the joy that you are looking for. Your higher self lives in the self love that could liberate you. Your higher self never experiences the type of self disgust or self doubt and so forth that we learn to experience as egoic personas. Your higher self is what you're growing into. And I think it's a wonderful source of information to turn to because it knows exactly what you need to do to get from here to there. So if we could just bridge that gap between where you are right now as an egoic persona and your higher self, then you can rapidly speed up, rapidly expand your consciousness and grow into your higher self. And along with that comes joy, comes bliss, comes power, comes stability and security and self-love and everything else that your higher self enjoys. Um, Now, I mentioned that there are other sources that are higher as well that you could turn to, like angels or ancestors and so forth. But those, the higher you go in this hierarchy of beings, if you want to create one, because ultimately there are no hierarchies, but from our perspective, it seems like there are. But the higher you go, the more universal and the more like impersonal, because it's universal, the information is that you get. Your higher self knows you intimately, and it's a perfect source of information for uh, questions about what's going wrong in your life, what the cause is, and what you can do to make a big shift. So, is that making sense?
Absolutely. And oops, hold on.
Hello?
I'm going to put her on mute.
Okay.
Okay. Doesn't happen often. Okay. So yeah, that totally makes sense. The only thing I would like to add to that, if I can, is that
Please.
when it comes to working like with your higher self, I totally agree. I go to, and I would suggest for everyone, go to your higher self first. Start to have that relationship and connection with your higher self. Yes, of course, I work with angels and guides and galactics and all that, many, many beings of light. But the way that I have it set up is my higher self is kind of like the gatekeeper.
Mhm.
So as the gatekeeper, um, my higher self brings in the information from other beings of light that are appropriate for me. Does
Yes.
that make sense?
That makes
So I'm
absolutely perfect sense. Your higher self is that gatekeeper. And if you are filtering things through your higher self, or you are essentially following the guidance of your higher self about what to connect with, it's going to help prevent you connecting with entities that are dark in nature but are pretending to be beings of light. And you don't have to worry about going into an altered state of consciousness into a different reality and coming back with like hop-ons or
yeah.
anything like that. So you can do all of that, but I love the idea of using the higher self as a gatekeeper or a filter to help keep all of that out.
Yeah, exactly. So, because like I said, I do work with a lot of entities, beings, galactic, etc. But first and foremost is my higher self. And then, after that is everything else. And I think and I think it's really key for all of us to have that, nurture that relationship with your higher self. If you don't have one, start one, right? And I remember saying a few years ago, Patrick, I remember saying, like my higher self is pulling me, dragging me along on the journey because there were times when, my ego mind, personality self was not on board or was resisting or whatever it was, but I was still being pulled along, right, by my higher self. So I was still following the guidance and the intuition and the hits I was getting from my higher self and the messages from my higher self, trusting, and that's the thing, it's about trusting your higher self as well, right?
Yes,
Because
yes, absolutely.
honestly, your higher self has all the wisdom that you need because
Yes,
your higher self can connect to higher wisdoms and so on and so forth, right? I mean, we're all
yes,
connected, yes, but trying to make this understandable in this way is
yes,
that everything is within you. So nothing, people like to put people and other entities on pedestals, right? But in the grand scheme of things, when you really break it all down, everything is equal. Everybody's equal. There's no better than. Some people may have more wisdom, but that's, you can also access that. You can also receive that if you do the work, right?
yes, absolutely. And the work is not the work of connecting with your higher self because you are your higher self. You are eternally connected with your higher self. It is who you are, just without all the limiting beliefs, judgments, and expectations and so forth that give you negative experiences in this three-dimensional world. So there is no connecting with your higher self. You are connected. What people often experience, though, is they lose awareness. They
Yeah.
forget, or they never have had the experience at all in this lifetime of the presence of their higher self or their existence as their higher self. So what happens to me, and it happens every now and then, if I lose awareness of my divinity, let's say, if I lose awareness of my essence as my higher self, my autonomic nervous system becomes dysregulated. I go into fight or flight. I become overwhelmed really easily. I tend to have panic attacks and so forth. And when that happens, when I'm stuck in that, when I'm mired and stuck in a panic attack or a situation like that, really, really hard to pull myself out of it using the tools of the three-dimensional world. The way I pull myself out of that is to remind myself that I am my higher self, and there's all this power and wisdom and healthful energy that I have access to that I'm just ignoring in the moment. So I just have to remind myself, remember that I am a divine being of light, but I've forgotten because my ego has taken over, or I've become too bogged down with work or something and have lost track of the truth of reality in the process. We do that often.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I always call it, falling off the wagon, so, oh, we're
Hmm.
falling off the wagon and got to get back on, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
things, life happens, right? So we are still here living our lives, right? The
Hmm.
the best we can. But, becoming aware of our connection with our higher selves does not happen when we're busy or when the mind is busy. It happens when we're still, right? And
Yes.
when we're in our heart space, meditating in some form, in some way. That for me is, again, not about connecting, but just having that focus being on the relationship between me and my higher self.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well said.
Right. So how can people start to become more aware of that and deepen that relationship with their higher selves?
Yes. Well, of course, it's different for everybody, but some people are so deeply mired in the pain of the world that we live in and all of the potential dangers and the victim consciousness that we're trained into that they almost completely shut themselves off from awareness of their higher self. So one of the first things that I would recommend doing is trying to shift your attitude into something that's positive as opposed to always being negative. I used to use Facebook a lot until Facebook became overloaded with all the propaganda and all of the rage bait and so forth that was designed to get clicks and get people's attention. So I don't really use Facebook anymore, but that's like one of the type of things that you can do. If you know that there's a source of information out there that you're engaging with that makes you feel like crap after you're finished with it, and every time I used Facebook, I felt worse than before I started, then I would let those habits go. I would try to become aware of and identify the limiting patterns of belief that you have and the limiting expectations. If you go into a situation just expecting the worst every single time, you are actually broadcasting a signal that is an invitation for things to be at their worst. And the probability that something bad will happen increases dramatically. So if I go to work always in an attitude of, oh my God, what hell am I going to face today at work? Um, that is actually increasing the likelihood of something hellish happening for me while I'm at work. So breaking it down to the bare bones, we all create our experience and we all create our reality out of our thoughts, our beliefs, our judgments, our expectations, and our emotional energy, the traumas that you're carrying with you that are unresolved, the childhood experiences and those voices that echo in the back of your mind telling you you're not good enough, or this is dangerous, or you're not allowed to have this, or you're a bad person, or you're not smart enough, or whatever. Um, we create our experience in the world through our thoughts, our beliefs, our expectations, our judgments, and our emotional energy. And all of that goes into creating this radiant, powerful, radiant, energetic signature that we broadcast at all times. So if you're broadcasting fear energy, that fear energy gets reflected back to you by the universe. It gets reflected back to you by the things that it bounces off of in your nearby vicinity. And the energy tends to justify itself. If you are trapped in anxiety and trapped in fear, that becomes part of the energy that you radiate. It's what gets reflected back to you, and you attract to you a lot of experiences that are scary in nature. If you're constantly obsessing about your financial condition and the fear of how am I going to pay rent next month, and of course this is a lived experience that a lot of people have, but if you're constantly in the energy of feeling like you're on the verge of complete and total collapse financially, that becomes part of the energy that you broadcast through your energetic radiant signature. And the likelihood of financial collapse increases for you because that's the energy that gets reflected back to you. So becoming aware of your negative habits, your negative patterns of thought, the negative energy that you radiate, the circle of friends that you have. Do they try to pull you down into petty drama and chaos and so forth and victim consciousness, or do they uplift you and make you feel better about yourself? All of those things need to be examined, and you can shift them, you can change them, you can change your circle of friends. If you have only friends who want you to join them in their misery, and they get upset with you if you're too happy, if they're in a bad mood, but you're in a good mood, and then that annoys them, so they try to make you feel bad, or you have the habit of commiserating with people, joining them in their misery in order to connect with them and feel social cohesion, um, that's that's limiting you. It's blocking you from your awareness of your higher self, because your higher self doesn't play any of those games. It doesn't do any of that. And after a while, you are living completely in ego. Now, your ego, of course, is your perception of yourself as an individual, distinct and separate from other beings. And egotism is the belief that you, as an individual, distinct and separate from other beings, are somehow superior or better or more important than other beings. And both of those end up being traps for us. Because, like you were saying before, Shefali, we're all ultimately equal. We're all one. We're all connected with each other. This notion of us being distinct and separate is an illusion that is a three-dimensional experience. And the feeling that you are somehow smarter or more intuitive, more um, special than other people, that's limiting as well. That kills spiritual growth. I often get email messages from people um, who are looking for ego strokes. They'll tell me, for example, that they have a certain condition that is exceedingly rare and shows that they are special. Like, got a letter from somebody not too long ago who was basically saying that she no longer had human DNA in her system. All of her DNA had been transcended into something different. And it was clear in the way the letter was worded was she was wanting me to write back to her gushing with praise about how special she was. And that's logically inconsistent. It's um, the need for the ego strokes um, pretty much belies the fact that she was deluding herself into believing that she was special and superior. Now, clearly, there are people who have transcended their human DNA, but they're not going around looking for ego strokes. They're the ones who are invisible, doing the work in the background. They're radiant beacons of light, and they're just shining their energy
Mhm.
for the uplift of the world around them. They don't need praise. They don't need followers. They don't need um, ego strokes. Uh, so,
Yeah,
yeah,
I totally agree.
yes.
They don't need validation, etc., for sure.
Yeah.
So uh, around what we were talking about, so B has a comment or question in the chat, and it's about because we were talking about not to get caught up in other people's drama, right? In their trauma, in their stories, etc. But she said, but what about having compassion and being there for others so they feel loved and not alone?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. That's exceedingly
ab-
important. So here's the
yeah,
thing.
and we need that. So I'm going to let
Yeah.
you talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah. So if you're an energy healer or a life coach, one of the things that you're taught as you're training is that you must meet your client where they are. You must have an understanding of the pain that they are going through. You must have compassion for the negative experiences and the pain that they're feeling so that you can do something about it, so you can understand from their perspective the painful situation that they're in, and you can uplift them. But having an awareness of the painful condition of somebody and having compassion for them doesn't mean that you join them in their pain. It doesn't mean that you collapse the energy to the lowest common denominator. There's a distinct difference between compassion and commiseration. Compassion means that you are maintaining your high energetic state even as you're working with somebody who's in pain and is looking for help. And by maintaining your high energetic state and having compassion and listening and opening yourself up to whatever experience they're having, you have the possibility of pulling them up out of their pain. But if you commiserate, if you join them at their level of energy, then all you do is collapse the energy to the lowest common denominator. And if you're joining them in their pain and you're doing the game that my mom was famous for, if somebody said that they had a pain somewhere in their body, she would say, "Oh, you think that's bad? Let me tell you about the pain that I have in my body." And then suddenly it's a competition for who has the most pain. I remember distinctly, I've told this anecdote before, when I was uh, probably 8 or 9 years old, I was being bullied at school because I was different than everybody else. And everyone could tell that I was different. Um, and I got bullied a lot for it. And one day the bullying was particularly vicious. And I went home and I was crying. And my mom stopped me and said, "Why are you crying?" And I began to tell her about the experience that I'd had. And she interrupted me and she said, "You think you had a bad day? Let me tell you what happened to me." That is commiseration. It's not helpful. It doesn't make me feel better to know that she had a worse day. I'm still in pain and now I'm feeling her pain as well. So the whole energy system collapses. So it's a long answer to that question, but compassion is crucial. Compassion
Yeah, and
is, yeah.
I think what's important is that, have compassion for who, I mean, I talk to a lot of people as well, right? So I have compassion for them, but I don't see them uh, as a victim. I see them in their potential, right?
Mhm.
And
Yes,
so, once, you can talk to them, support them, have compassion for them. I'm sorry you're going through this. I'm sorry that you're experiencing this. But then at some point, you know, get them to see how they can start to make different changes if possible. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes they just want to stay in that. So then you just hold space for them, right?
yeah.
You hold space, but that does not mean
You
that
hold space.
you go
Yeah.
down to their level of sometimes despair or whatever happens to be, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So
You
yeah,
hold space, you allow them to vent, you allow
yeah,
them
allow
to
them to be
purge
however they want to
energy.
be. Yeah,
Yes, yeah. Sometimes you
exactly.
just have to be there and listen and hold their hand as they are venting and screaming out whatever energy it is. That type
Sometimes,
of release is very powerful.
sometimes my daughter, like she'll be talking to me and, you know, I'll go into the coaching mode and she goes, "Mom, I don't want you to coach me right now. I just want you to, you know, tell me you love me or hold me." I can't hold her because she's not there physically, but like just be here for me. It's like, okay, okay, okay. I'm taking my coaching hat off. I'm just gonna be here and I'm sending you a big hug and I love you and I'm sorry you're going through this. Because in that moment, that's all she wants, right?
Yeah.
So we have to be understanding of that as well. So at some other time, I'll say, and so, when we were talking about blah, 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 well, here's some ideas, right? But, sometimes they just want to be in that space, but they just want to be held and
Yeah.
know that it's okay. So Lara had a question about, is there a difference between ego stroke and needing validation slash
Mhm.
recognition? Is there a
Yes,
difference?
there actually kind of is because we all need to feel like we're part of a community and that we're an important part of humanity. We often forget just how special we are. Um, the thing is, everybody is special. You are more special than you've probably ever given yourself credit for. You are divine. And if you have an awareness of your divinity, but you're unaware of the divinity of other people, then you kind of slip into egotism and you begin seeking that validation and you want other people to praise you for your specialness. But the fact of the matter is, everybody is special. Everybody is divine. Some people bury their divinity underneath layers and layers of insecurity and self-hatred and suspicion and so forth, and others allow it to shine forth. But we all have that spark of divinity. We all have that divineness built into us. So validation is really important because it's easy to lose track. It's easy to forget your divinity in this three-dimensional world that is full of challenges. So if we can uplift each other and validate each other without going into the ego stroking that says that you are uniquely special in some way, then that can go a long way to help uplift everybody and bring in a deeper awareness of the higher self, the presence of the higher self, or your existence as your higher self. Is that making sense?
Absolutely. So I was wondering, Patrick, because this is such a interesting topic that we're on right now, but can you, because I love your processes, I'll be honest, can you run a process so that we can feel more of our higher selves or connect more deeply with our higher selves or become more aware of our higher selves?
Yeah, yeah. So in the healing system that I've developed, it's called Lightbridge. In Lightbridge, it's interesting because we turn to the higher self for pretty much all of the energy and information that we're looking for. So it's through the connection with the higher self that we draw forth energetic patterns that the higher self has, and we embrace them in our current egoic persona. And these I call, they're attunements. Attunements a very common term, very common practice. You can have attunements from angels and from ancestors and from spirit guides and so forth. An attunement is essentially drawing forth an energetic pattern, a blueprint or a template for a certain energetic state from a higher source, and then applying it, installing it in your current egoic persona so you can feel something as your higher self feels it. And I like to draw forth those templates and blueprints from the higher self. And I think it's kind of meta. It's kind of interesting that we want to do an attunement from the higher self for awareness of the higher self, but but we can all do that here right now. So let's all get connected here. So please make sure that you're in a very safe place. You're not doing anything potentially dangerous. Please set aside all distractions. And if that's not possible for you, if you're driving or cooking or something and you can't pause, simply set the intention that this energy come to you later. So safety first is always the prime directive. So make sure you're in a safe and protected place and allow me to connect with you energetically. And of course, as I'm connecting with you energetically, I'm connecting with your higher self energetically. And if you want to, you can allow a connection with your support beings, if you have any, or if you would like to invite them along. So I'm essentially going into a hypnotic trance, a very light one for myself. I'm going into that dreamscape brainwave state. Technically, it's the theta brainwave state. And because I'm connected with you, I'm pulling you into the experience of the dreamscape state, but not putting you in a hypnotic trance. So you have total control over what's happening. You can resist the energy, reject it. You're not out of control hypnotically. So you might feel a little lightheaded. You might feel a little bit of vertigo, or like you're floating off into space, or drowsiness. Whatever you feel, or if you feel nothing at all, simply trust that the connection has been set. Okay. And what we want to draw forth from your higher self is the blueprint for awareness, the template, the pattern of awareness of your higher self as it is understood and enjoyed by your higher self. Okay, so simply allow me to invoke that blueprint and allow me to help command that it be installed in you in your current egoic persona. So we're doing an attunement for awareness, self-awareness, awareness as your higher self. We allow that energy to settle into your current egoic persona. And as it's settling in, we want to clear away some belief systems or energetic stances that might block it from settling in. So, anywhere and everywhere you have decided that it's simply not possible for you to live as your higher self, or to have an awareness of your higher self, or to feel your eternal connection with your higher self, or anything else of the sort. Let's get the truth about all of that as understood by your higher self. Purge it away right now. Replace it with the knowledge that you are your higher self and you have access at all times if you simply open up your awareness. Okay, anywhere and everywhere you've decided that you're not special enough, that you're not allowed to have this experience, that you need permission from somebody in order to open up this connection, that you're forbidden in some way, or that it's dangerous for you to open yourself up to that knowledge of your higher self. Let's get the truth about all of that as understood by your higher self and purge it now. Replace it with the knowledge that this is your birthright, it is who you are, it is safe for you to live as your higher self. Beautiful. And then anywhere and everywhere you have decided that you're simply not ready for this type of growth, that it would be too powerful for you to step into it. It would be too disruptive of your life. There would be too much change too quickly. And therefore, you're not ready for it, or you're not worthy of it, or you're not eager to have it yet. You're not willing to do what you need to do to lock it in, or anything else of the sort. Let's get the truth about all of that as understood by your higher self. Release it. Okay, and what we're doing is opening up that awareness of your divinity, opening up that awareness that you actually are a higher dimensional being having a temporary, limited three-dimensional experience. And as a higher dimensional being, you have access to tools and power that you normally don't know about, you forget about, you ignore, or you think are impossible. So just let all this settle in. Everyone take a deep breath and hold it for a moment. This allows us to lock in the energy that we've invoked and also to clear away out of your energy field any sparking or um, energy that's counterproductive. Release when you're ready. And now open your eyes to come back into, oh, wow, excuse me, come back into full waking consciousness again. Oh, wow. And as most of you already know, when I yawn, when you yawn, doesn't necessarily mean that you're tired or bored. It means that energy is moving. So that's often validation for me that energy is moved inside the group. Um, Now, if you're feeling lightheaded and floaty, or you might want to fall asleep, you can ground yourself in whatever way you like the most to help bring you back into full waking consciousness if you would like.
Awesome.
Um,
Thank you. How's everyone doing? If you want to let us know in the chats, it's always so much fun for all of us to see what everyone else is also experiencing. I know, of course, I was yawning. I was actually gone a little bit. I could hear you a little bit, but I was like completely not
mhm,
here.
mhm. Yeah,
Um,
I've often had people fall asleep during live sessions or events, or people tell me they fall asleep while listening to my recordings, so they have to start over again and then they fall asleep again. Um, the fact of the matter is, if you fall asleep, you're actually just going deeper into that dreamscape brainwave state, and your subconscious mind is still open to and aware of what's going around you because it needs to scan your environment for threats and so forth. So you still get the benefit even after you've fallen asleep if you're listening to an audio recording. Um, yeah. The only
Want to
time
drink
it's
some
really
water?
awkward is if I'm doing a one-on-one session with somebody and they fall asleep. So,
Yes, of course.
yeah.
Yes, of course. Oh, I'm still processing, so I'm still yawning, and it's like, yeah, I definitely need something to drink. So you might want to have some water or something as well. So Marjorie
Absolutely.
was also
And
in and out, down to earth, real support. Yep, yawning
yeah,
as
and
well,
that
feeling
brings up
good.
a really important point. Your energy field, your energetic matrix, that crystalline energetic body that you have is electrical in nature. And you need to be hydrated in order for there to be the proper flow of energy through your energetic matrix. You can think of it as an electrical system. It's not exactly the same as the neurological electrical system that you have, which really is very much electrical in nature. But if you're dehydrated, then there's resistance. Energy doesn't flow through your system very well. So it's always important to have water at hand so you can hydrate yourself so that there's more energy flow.
Yes, absolutely. Still, I think a lot of people are still experiencing some shifting happening, so that's okay. Just keep receiving, keep allowing. Um, so I was gonna, there's still so much for us to talk about, but um, so a lot of us have had trauma in our lives, a lot of
Mhm.
trauma. Some of us have had lots, some of lucky ones have not had as much, but
Mhm.
trauma nonetheless. So, what role does trauma play in causing people to forget their divine essence? I know we've talked about this a little bit, but truly, when like in the past, when I would be going through some major trauma, it's like, yeah, it's like I'm just trying to survive. It's like forget divinity. I'm just trying to stay alive. There were
Yeah,
times when it was like that extreme, right?
yeah. So trauma impacts you on multiple levels. When you have a traumatic experience, and it doesn't necessarily have to be something dramatic like a car crash or a sexual assault or something like that, you can have micro trauma on a daily basis that builds up into something that is very powerful. So if you are systematically bullied, if you are made fun of or rejected or ostracized or ignored on a daily basis, that type of micro trauma has the same impact as major trauma, such as a car accident. Now, what happens when you have trauma, a traumatic experience, but you're unable to process the energy of the trauma at the time that it happened, is the energy just doesn't vanish. You end up shoving it down into your system because you don't have time or the energy to deal with it. You push through the trauma and you move on with your life because you have no other choice. So you end up shoving that energy down into your system, and it's like a sticky residue that gums up your energy field. And then, like I said before, we all have a radiant energetic pattern, this symphony of radiant energetic signals that we're constantly broadcasting at all times. Well, now we have these sour notes built in, which are from the residue that's left over from the trauma. So once you have trauma in your system that's unresolved, from that point on, you are continually broadcasting the echo of that trauma as part of your energetic signature, and it's what gets reflected back to you. And you have the opportunity to relive the trauma over and over and over again in different contexts. That's why a lot of times somebody might have an abusive romantic relationship that they break off, and then from that point on they have a history of dating the same abusive person over and over again in different bodies. It's just the same story over and over again. Or um, the experience that I had back in my restaurant management days before I got into energy healing. I would get hired at one restaurant. It would feel like heaven for about 2 weeks. And then the same unrealistic demands would be placed on me that would send me into autonomic nervous overload and self implosion. I'd move on to the next job. The exact same thing would happen over and over and over again with every job that I took. Um, and the problem was that energy that I was radiating that created the expectation that something bad was going to happen, the belief that all restaurant jobs have the same type of trauma and dysfunction built into them, and so forth. So that's one part of it. So the trauma creates the opportunity for you to relive the traumatic experience over and over again in what I would call a karmic loop. Your trauma loops over and over again. And can go from lifetime to lifetime. The trauma itself, the original trauma, doesn't even need to be something you experienced. It could be something that you witnessed, or it could be in your family heritage and it's inherited. It could be from a previous lifetime, but it's still very in your energetic pattern. The other thing is that if you are systematically abused, your parents treat you badly or they ignore you or whatever, when you're a child, you don't have the logical capacity to understand that your parents are doing something that is unnatural or that is damaging to you. You simply take it at face value. So if your parents systematically treat you poorly when you're a child, you very, very quickly learn the false belief that I'm unworthy, I'm not good enough, I'm a burden, I'm not wanted, I'm in the way, my parents would be better off without me. All of these different messages get absorbed into your subconscious mind. And then when you go into adulthood, you may consciously know that they're not true, but because they're programmed into your brain on the subconscious level, they're still whispering in your ear in the background. They're still asserting themselves. And the subconscious mind is thousands of times more powerful than the cognitive mind. You might consciously assert or do the affirmation, I am worthy. But if you have the subconscious belief system that you're worthless, you're in the way, you don't measure up, you're not good enough, or whatever, those subconscious beliefs are going to overwhelm that conscious thought that you had, and they'll color your experience. So trauma is a major, major component of the work that I do with people because it tends to disconnect or create an awareness of disconnection, the experience of disconnection from the higher self the most. Yeah. Yeah. And clearing away trauma, traumatic residue can be very, very difficult in cases where that trauma has sunk all the way down into the level of the identity, where somebody has had such a bad traumatic experience or it's happened so many times that they believe that that traumatic experience defines them as a person and it defines their life, it defines their experience in the world. Once you have identified so thoroughly with the traumatic residue that you hold inside you that you simply can't imagine what your life would be without it, it would feel awkward, it would feel alien, it would feel unusual. You wouldn't know who you are anymore without the trauma. Then we have to do some really deep digging and expunging of that energy to get a shift.
Wow, powerful. And so as powerful and destructive trauma can be for us, we have within us spiritual power that can overcome all of that. I guess you could I guess I want to say, but like all that spiritual power that is within us, it's, I don't want to say it's hidden, but sometimes we can't always access it. So how
Mhm.
can we access it and unleash it in our own being so that we can create a better life or more of what we desire?
Yeah. So sometimes you can do it on your own, but most often you need the assistance of somebody else to help you. It's possible to work on yourself, but a lot of times you are so closely identified with your problems that you can't see the forest for the trees. You don't have that 30,000-foot view of what's going on. You just have this limited perspective and you're wearing the goggles of your life experiences. So everything that you see gets filtered through the goggles of what you've experienced before. And you may have some success through meditation or through an energetic healing program or learning how to do energy work and so forth. You can actually have tremendous success. But for deeply entrenched trauma that you have identified with to the point where you, even 40 or 50 years later, you can't think about the traumatic experience without reliving it on some level, then it's really helpful to have somebody else do some energy manipulation for you and help guide you through the energy clearings. So that's a lot of subconscious reprogramming, a lot of rebuilding of belief systems that limit you. We purge away limiting beliefs and expectations and replace them with positive ones, and coach people into developing an awareness of when they are slipping into negativity so that they can actually take action and pull themselves out of it before it's too late. So that's all part of the program. Part of it is also just the deeper understanding of how the laws of the universe work. So there's often some study involved. When you understand the energetic dynamics that make up the law of attraction and the law of vibration and the law of deliberate creation and the law of polarity and so forth, when you understand these things, it becomes easier for you to choose for yourself what type of reaction that you're going to have. Most of us react spontaneously to negative triggers with no conscious awareness whatsoever. And you may have, because of trauma, a lot of things that trigger you. The sound of a voice, the smell of a specific perfume, just the word ice is now a trigger for a lot of people. So if you can neutralize those triggers and become more responsive rather than reactive in an automatic way, then you can have control over the energy that you radiate. And the more control you develop over the energy that you radiate, the more you can radiate positive energy that gets reflected back to you with the probability of having positive experiences. And then it just grows from there. But a lot of times where we start is with some of the deepest, darkest trauma that seems to be permanently stuck, like it's petrified inside their system and feels like it cannot be removed. So that's a good
So there's
place
some
to
work to
start.
do, but we
Lot of
do
work.
have resources within us. We do have
Yeah.
the higher self as well. And we do have that spiritual power within us
Yes.
as well that is always supporting us and I guess you could say even maintaining our life force, right?
Yes, absolutely. And for some people, just the awareness of that is enough. You can spontaneously purge a lot of limiting beliefs by having a deep feeling of connection with or living as your higher self. It can automatically shift things. When you understand something that happened in your life from the perspective of your higher self, that can automatically purge a lot of limiting belief systems that are holding you back.
Mm. Awesome. Thank you. So we still have a lot to talk about. We have people with their hands raised and some questions in the chat, but because we're at the almost top of the hour, I just want to take a moment and talk about the special offer, if that's okay. So I'm going to share my screen. One second. So Patrick has two packages today, package A and package B. So Patrick, you want to share a little bit about what's included in package A?
Okay, well, package A is my higher self embodiment blueprint. So you can begin to live your life as your higher self. And this is a package that I put together. I actually had it beta tested by people, and then I did modifications based on the feedback that I got from people. So it's a very polished product. The first thing that we do is a cleansing and invigoration of your energetic matrix. Because if your energy system is gummed up or it has frayed wires or blockages, it has cut wires and so forth, and the energy is not flowing through your system properly. And by the way, when we first connected, I felt a lot of disconnected energy in people's throats. I almost thought that I would need some lozenges to get through the session because my throat was hurting so badly when we first did the connection. Um, that's the type of blockage in your energy field that can be cleared so that you can absorb energy from a higher source And those blueprints that we draw forth from your higher self can imprint themselves on your egoic persona, your human persona, in a better way. So we have the invigoration of your energetic matrix, and then we dive right into a session on being your higher self, on how to embrace the knowledge that you are your higher self rather than trying to create a connection and feeling like you're not getting anywhere. Then we have a session on the power of savoring, and that might not mean anything to a lot of you who are listening right now, but savoring is the heart and soul of everything that I do in Lightbridge. The Lightbridge command, the work that I do is command and savor. So savoring involves having an awareness of what it is you desire, and then not only feeling as if you have it already accomplished, even if you don't, but savoring the joy that it would bring you. There's a lot of energetic power in emotionally connecting on a deep level with whatever your desire is. And that means that if you're identifying your desires, you're always thinking in positive terms and what the joy is that they would bring you. A lot of times we get stuck in the energy of want rather than desire. And in my mind, there's a distinction between the two. When you want something, you're feeling the pain of not having it. The word want literally means lack. And your point of focus is on how frustrating or painful it is not to have the thing that you desire. And of course, when you inhabit that energy, that is what you radiate outward, and you end up with opportunities to experience more of the same, more of the lack. But having a desire, even though I might use the words interchangeably, a desire is an awareness of the thing that it is that you would like to have and the joy, the benefit you would have if you were to have it now. And savoring is inhabiting that emotion. That supercharges your manifestations. It brings to you a lot faster the object of your desire because you are energizing your thoughts and your beliefs and your expectations with emotional energy. Then we have a section or a recording on activating your radiant charisma. And what I mean by this is really getting into shining as a beacon of radiant positive energy. A lot of our energy is muted. A lot of the times when we feel positive energy, we're feeling it for ourselves, but we're not really radiating it in a way that can impact the world around us. Um, if you can tap into the power of your radiant energetic charisma, then you can be broadcasting this very, very bright light that the universe has no choice but to acknowledge and respond to and reflect back to you. So your radiant charisma brings you your desires much faster. Then we have recording on the embodiment of power so that you can reclaim your natural power and you can navigate the limited world that we live in with grace and ease and achieve whatever you desire. Then we have the youth and vitality activations uh, so that you can have on the surface layer, it's about having a deeper sense of youth and vitality so that you have the vim and vigor and stamina in order to accomplish your goals. But it does more than that. It actually impacts the telomeres that are in your individual cells so that you can actually increase your longevity. But the telomeres also, they're those little shoestring type strands that tie together the ends of your chromosomes so that they don't unravel. Those have the ability to communicate with other cells throughout your body. It's why the cells in your nose can be constant, in constant awareness of what's going on in the cells in your feet, even though when you think about it, these millions upon millions, billions of cells that make up your body, your feet and your nose are miles away from each other. They can have instantaneous communication, and that increases youth and vitality. The telomeres can also pick up information from beyond your body. So this is activating your cellular intuition and expanding your cellular intuition so that you can pick up energy from beyond your physical body. It increases the likelihood of you developing your clairaudience and your clairvoyance and so forth. So it's a very powerful set of activations, targets the pineal gland. It's very similar to Shaktipat or the Reiki attunement and so forth, that activates the pineal gland. And then we have the magic of resilient body love. If you can get to the place where you love yourself exactly as you are right now, um, even though there are things that you might like to change about yourself, then that has a powerful impact on what you experience. Self-love becomes part of your radiant energetic signature. It's self-love that is disconnected from egotism. So it's not um, being self-absorbed or narcissistic. It's simply loving yourself as you are. That creates the opportunity for you to love yourself even more because that energy gets reflected back to you. Then there's a track on revitalizing your brain. So we balance the hormones, we balance the neurotransmitters, we balance the left and right hemisphere with each other. We balance the energy through your energetic matrix and your crystalline grid work as it is connected to your brain. And we invigorate the pineal gland in that session. Then we have something on pinnacle consciousness, uh, an attunement, and some other work to help you achieve pinnacle consciousness. And pinnacle consciousness is the term that I use. Other people call it cosmic consciousness or Buddha mind or Christ consciousness. It's a peak experience of consciousness in which you are aware of yourself, maybe as an individual, but you know how you're connected with all of the universe that surrounds you. And you feel like you're part of something much bigger than what you experience in your day-to-day life. And you bask on the same level of energy as your higher self does. And then the 10th track is the heart expansion guided meditation, which I've gotten so much feedback over the years. Everybody loves this guided meditation in which you basically expand your heart so that all of the different chakras in your body are resonating with the energy of your heart, and then you expand it to fill the entire world. So ultimately, you get to a place where your heart is has expanded so much that every single person on the planet is inside your heart, basking in your unconditional love energy. And that can be very healing both for you and for other people. Um, so that's the audio package that's in package A. And then I've added in the Manifestation Mastery Workshop, which people tell me is very powerful. Something that I call the 5x5 workshop, which is essentially an attunement marathon. I take the 5 different key arenas of your life, that is material prosperity, health, romance, career, and spiritual growth. And for each of those 5 dimensions of your life, we do what I consider the 5 most important attunements. So the attunements are for resilience, optimism, discernment, authenticity, and self-love. So it's a true energetic marathon, 25 attunements in all in one audio recording, and then a future guided vision meditation so that you can clarify for yourself what your desires are for your future, what you want your life to look like 3 or 5 years from now, and then pour massive amounts of energy into accomplishing that. So that's package A. Yeah.
Awesome. That's package A for 111. And that does have a payment plan as well. And if you're an Inner Circle member, please use your gift code. Awesome. Thank you. I love it. And then package B is everything in package A plus two more things.
Two more things. A 45-minute one-on-one private session with me so that we can work on whatever it is you want to work on. And then, well, almost whatever it is you want to work on. One of the things that happens quite often is somebody will set up an appointment with me and they'll want me to do healing on their daughter, or they'll want to make their husband stop cheating on them, or make their boss respect them more. They want to focus the energy on a third party. So what I request in these sessions is that we work on you. And you may have an awareness that there are third parties that are impacted by your energy, and you shifting your energy might cause them to behave in a different way. But we want to focus on you and what your core level issues are rather than on third parties. And those are very powerful. 45 minutes, that's a good chunk of time. We can do a lot of energy work in 45 minutes. And then we have the daily blast for 30 days. I meditate every day. It's at different times every day. I have no set schedule for meditation. And when I go into meditation, I bring with me a list of everybody that I want to send energy to during the meditation. So if you are in the 30-day daily blast for 30 days, I will have you on my list as somebody to offer energy up to while I'm meditating. It will hit you at different times during the day. Sometimes it will hit you while you're asleep, and your body will just either absorb or reject the energy depending on what mood you're in at the moment. So that tends to um, be more subtle than a private one-on-one session, but you can, if you open yourself up to it, you can really feel the energy that uplifts you for maybe 5 minutes or so every day.
Awesome. Thank you. So that's package B. And again, payment plan is available. And if you are an Inner Circle member, please use your gift code. Awesome package, Patrick. I love it. A lot of transformation possible for folks. There's some wonderful testimonials from people who have worked with Patrick in the past. Please check those out. And again, the two packages, package A and package B, see which one resonates to you, and go ahead and book so that you can start to have transformation in your life and honestly be your higher self more. I'm going to say more often, right? So we already always are, but we're not aware of it and we're not functioning from that space. So definitely these packages can help you to do that. Awesome. Thank you so much, Patrick.
Thank you.
Hold on. Let me just go back to where we were. So there were some folks who had their hands raised for a long time now. So, Mariola, you want to unmute?
Hello.
Been waiting patiently. Hi.
Hi. I was wondering if Patrick could help me with something. I realized recently that I'm in this kind of waiting pattern. Like when you call someone and they put you on hold, like waiting for the money to come to do this, or waiting for the end of the year or months or week till weekend or lifetime even, to die and go on. So I was wondering if he can tap into it to what is it about and maybe shift. That,
Yeah.
whatever is behind it.
Yes. So going deeper into the situation as I'm connecting with you energetically here, um, the waiting pattern that you're forced into is a surface layer symptom. It is the consequence of something that's deeper. And that something that's deeper is that there has been a lifelong pattern of people treating you like you don't matter, or you feeling like you're invisible, or like you feeling like other people making you feel like you should put your needs last. So a lot of the waiting that you've been forced into, it's basically designed to tell you, we'll eventually get to you, but there are other more important people that we need to get to first. We'll eventually get to you, but we've got to go through the more important people first. And that is ultimately tied into a feeling of not being seen, of being invisible, of not being respected, of not having your needs respected, and um, just that overall sense that you matter less than other people. Other people are more important. Your needs don't matter as much as other people. Your pain doesn't matter as much as other people. Your desires are less important than other people, and so forth. So all of that is kind of churning around deep inside your subconscious mind. And then it's creating the experience of you being forced to wait for things because you're less important than the people that are being served now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense when
Yeah.
you're talking about it. I feel it in the solar plexus, and I have 1 year younger sister. So once she was born, obviously, whatever two kids need, she would be first because
Mhm.
she was louder and obviously younger. So baby get
Mhm.
taken care of first, and I was still
Yeah.
myself very young, but older comparing to her. So
Yeah.
yeah, I always had to like wait for my turn, kind of.
Yes. And a lot of this falls into the category of micro trauma, because, like, any one individual experience might not seem devastating, and you might have the experience of having to wait for your sister to be taken care of first, and in your mind it feels like something that happens on a daily basis, but if you complain about it, you're considered selfish, or what's wrong with you, this is such a minor inconvenience, why can't you handle it? So you've developed this belief system in your subconscious mind that demanding respect, commanding attention, demanding that your needs be put first for a change is selfish, it's wrong, it's egotistical, it's narcissistic, and so forth. And you don't want to be any of those things. So you've had this pattern develop over time. So let's clear it away for you and for everyone else in the call. And what I essentially want to work on is that feeling of being invisible and that you don't matter. And what I want to download or have emerge within you, it's not really a download because downloading implies that you're getting information from an external source, but this information's already in you. You already know this. It's just been buried under years of experience that has blocked you from tapping into it. So it's a remembrance, it's an emergence of an energy that's already inside you. And what we're going to open up for everyone is a deep awareness of your needs, your desires, and your pain in such a way that you don't always have the experience of having those treated as less important than those of other people. and a clearing away of that expectation and the experience of invisibility, being treated like you don't matter, being treated like you're less important than other people, and therefore you have to wait for them to be serviced first, and so on. So it's kind of opening up this deep awareness of your importance, your value, and the fact that your needs, desires, interests, and opinions are just as important as everybody else. Now, you have lots and lots of self-validating evidence that is built up over the years. So you have this repository in your brain of all the thousands of times this has happened to you, and therefore it feels normal and natural. So I also want to send in some energy to make it feel normal and natural for you to be treated as important and to have your needs be put first. Because if you've never experienced that or you've rarely experienced it, it can feel alien, awkward, and even dangerous, and we don't want that. Beautiful. So we're working. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. We're working on the level of identity, that invisibility, it almost defines you as a person and you get overlooked a lot. So I'm glad we called upon you first rather than last.
I am glad to.
Okay, everyone take a deep breath and hold it for a moment. And release when you're ready. Ooh, wow. Excuse
Thank
me.
you very much. I feel much
Yeah.
calmer.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mariola. All right, Sarah, you want to unmute?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I had an experience just a few years ago now that I was working with someone who can channel different people's higher self and speak to them, which was really interesting, except there are only 12 of us in the class, but she managed to not get to me and one other person. I felt
Oh,
like,
no.
doesn't my higher self want to talk to me? Which is, of course, silly, but I do meditate in the morning, but I don't call on my higher self. I call on angels, I
Mhm.
call my spirit guides and
Sure.
ascended masters and loved ones on the other side. So this is opening up a new thought on what to do in my meditation. And I know you did a brief one here, and I'm going to go back and listen to that again. But is there any particular difference in calling on the divine, Elohim and the Shekhinah, and calling on your higher self? And if so, what's the formula?
Yeah. Well, the over time, as you become well practiced, you can automatically slip into the perspective of your higher self. So it can become instantaneous, normal, and natural, and not something that you need to invoke. So um, it will become easier over time. But as you're first beginning the process, if you've never really tuned into the wisdom of your higher self before, you may want to do the same things that you're doing when you're calling forth to make a connection with an angel and get information there. So you can use that same set of techniques that you're already using and set the intention that you're opening up your awareness of your higher self. The more often you do that, the less often you'll need to do that ritualized portion of calling in and connecting with and so forth, as if it's something separate and distinct from you. So a lot of times when people are working with angels, they have a very, very keen awareness that they are existing on one plane of existence and the angel is on a different plane of existence, and they need to do a set of steps, which are often ritualized in order to create that connection. But the more you tune into your higher self, the more you will eventually realize that you are your higher self and you can almost instantaneously tap into that wisdom. It'd just feel like opening your eyes or shifting your attention from this to that. It should become easier over time. Is that making sense?
Yes, and I use a pendulum all throughout the day. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, excuse me, after my meditation,
Mm-hmm.
before I'm out of that trance, I use my pendulum. And when I'm getting an answer with the pendulum, is that my higher self? Is that a spirit guide? Is that a way that I'm constantly communicating with my higher self?
Yeah, it depends. A lot of times, the answer that you get from a pendulum is something from your subconscious mind. A lot of times, the answer you get with a pendulum is directly from whatever source you're asking a question of. So, if you ask an angel a question and you use your pendulum, then the answer you get is fed to you by that higher source. If you're not connecting with a higher source, then it's pretty much given that the information is coming up from your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind might actually be wrong about things. It might have limiting negative beliefs about yourself that simply aren't true on the ultimate level. Um, um, but your subconscious mind tends to know you intimately. It knows what your needs are. It knows what your fears are. It knows what your pain is. And therefore, if you're asking questions about your physical body or your health condition and you're using your pendulum, you tend to get accurate information from that.
I see.
Yeah.
But if you're asking about a situation, um, that you may be in with others, it wouldn't be as accurate because there are other people with their subconscious and their higher selves involved.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And pendulum, the use of pendulums is incredibly powerful if done carefully and if done with an awareness that you might be tapping into a subconscious limiting belief sometimes.
hmm,
Muscle testing is also very powerful, but muscle testing really does almost exclusively draw information from the subconscious mind. So if you believe you're unworthy of success and you muscle test that and your subconscious mind believes you're unworthy of success, then your muscle test is going to say, yes, that's true. It's not ultimately true. It's not truth with a capital T. It's the truth of the experience of your subconscious mind. So
okay.
you
Muscle
tap into
testing
subconscious beliefs.
doesn't work so well for me, but I can douse with a piece of
Hmm.
string and
Yeah,
a clip on the
yeah,
end of it if I don't have a pendulum with me.
yeah.
And
Now, over time, you will fine tune and hone your intuition to the point where you don't need a pendulum or muscle testing or dowsing or anything at all like that. You can simply tune in intuitively and you can connect with an angel or an archangel intuitively and draw information that way.
yeah, that's what
Um,
I'm working on,
yeah,
actually.
that's something to grow into that usually doesn't it's not where people usually start. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Awesome. Thank you,
while
Sarah.
we're on that topic, I just have one other thing really quickly to say that a lot of times people say that, trust your gut feeling about things. Your gut feeling sometimes might be intuition, but quite often it's not. If you are heavily laden with trauma, if you have a lot of limiting belief systems about yourself, if you have a lot of fears and anxieties about the world that you live in, and a lot of biases and prejudices about certain groups of people or certain belief systems, then your gut feeling is often going to be reflective of whatever that bias is, not truth with a capital T. It's not intuition. So our goal is to clear away all of those limiting beliefs so that eventually your gut feeling is your intuition and it is accurate. So, people always say trust your gut, but if you're uh, in a deep place of traumatic pain, or you have lots of prejudice or biases against certain groups of people, your gut feeling isn't going to tell you the truth of the matter. It's going to tell you what to be scared of. So just a caveat there.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Anita, you want to unmute?
Hello, Patrick. Hello, Safali. The question I have is when it was my sixth birthday, which my birthday will be coming up on Friday, my dad had lost his job, and over time, my mom has brought it up, how my dad had lost his job during that time and that she had to go to work. So when she worked night shift. And we had 7 children in our family, and we all had to stay really, really quiet for my mom to sleep. And so if we spoke, or we couldn't even speak at the dinner table, that's how strict my dad was about keeping us quiet. And so over the years, even in grade school, it seemed that, all the students would be talking before class, but I was singled out as the one that was talking. And I was shamed for it. And it seems that over the years, I have lost my confidence. And I was just wondering if you could do a clearing on my throat and my solar plexus, so I have that confidence, and so that I don't resonate with people always cut me off when I'm trying to say my piece. Thank you.
Yeah. And this type of situation is kind of interesting because you have a significant energetic blockage in the throat, which is not uncommon. In fact, I would say that it's the most common area for a blockage to be. You've got uh, ball of energy that is limiting the flow of energy in your solar plexus. And what's directly in between the solar plexus and the throat? It's your heart. So your heart is kind of shut down as well. There's a lot of fear energy and confusion that is impacting your heart center and kind of shrinking the radiant aura, the signature, the electrical field of the heart. So as we do healing in the throat and healing in the power center, you may find this blossoming, this flowering of energy take place in your heart chakra as well. That will be like a beautiful, glowing experience that you aren't really expecting. So that's good. That's a positive thing as we move forward. So that situation that you described, where it's forbidden for you to speak, and if you do speak, you're either punished for it at home or you're shamed for it at school, um, that is enough trauma to create a significant blockage in the throat. And your throat is not simply your center of communication, it's also your center of creative expression and your ability to just broadcast energy into the world, a lot of times through song or through sound or music and so forth. We generate a massive energetic signature that radiates outward. You're blocked in all of that. So I think the most direct thing to do right now, the most appropriate thing to do is because there are other people in the group who have throat blockages as well. I simply want to reestablish that connection we established earlier, reestablish that connection with your higher self, and simply do an infusion of confidence energy and joy energy in your throat. We're just going to simply flood the throat area, the throat chakra, with positive energy so that you can begin to awaken the power that is inherent in your throat. Okay, and as we're doing that, we're also purging away some of the trauma of having been either punished or shamed for speaking, for making noise at all. Okay. Bringing in a deeper awareness that your voice, your opinions, what you feel that you need to express is as important as that of anyone else. And we want to bring in a feeling of liberation and freedom so that you can express yourself vocally without fear of punishment or shame. Okay, so we're essentially doing an infusion of positive healing energy in the throat. Let's also do an infusion of positive healing energy in the power center chakra. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, and a lot of the people in the group are blocked a little bit, not necessarily completely shut down, but there is energy churning in the power center that is impacting you on the physical level, maybe with digestive issues or um, cramping or pain in the abdomen. Okay. So we're simply flooding that energy with joy and light, flooding that area with joy and light energy to loosen up whatever those blockages are. Yeah. And of course, the throat for you comes first because you were systematically shut down in the throat. Over time, you began to feel disempowered and your power center lost energy. Beautiful. Everyone take a deep breath and hold it for a moment. Release when you're ready. Ooh, wow. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Now, will this also affect my heart? Because I've been having regurgitation of my valves
Yeah,
where it's not pumping enough blood through my system. So,
yeah,
would this
yeah.
also affect that in a good way?
It will because your heart is, unfortunately it's trapped between these two weak spots in your body. So you have the lack of flow of energy through your throat. You have the limited flow of energy through your power center, and the heart is right smack dab in the middle there. So it's not getting fed energetically in the way that it's used to or that it expects. So there's a shutdown of energy in your heart that might be creating GERD or heartburn or even heart conditions over time if it continues. So opening up the flow of energy in the throat and the power center will automatically nourish the heart even more.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I have a more giving heart than receiving. So maybe
Yeah,
that'll help
that's
me be
so
able to
common,
receive.
and that is a beautiful thing to do, but if it becomes limiting, then it can be a problem. So
Okay.
it's beautiful to be giving. I think giving, there's a lot of power in giving because when you're giving, you're actually opening up channels of energy that allow you to receive something in return. You're doing an exchange of energy that might not be a one-to-one correspondence. If you give something to a specific person, it doesn't mean that they will give you something of equal value directly back. In fact, you have the opposite experience where you're probably giving a lot to people who give nothing in return. And
Yes, that's been my trend.
kind of limiting. But you are opening up energy to receive from other avenues of having stuff come to you. But it sounds selfish on the surface, but I always counsel people to, if it's limiting, get out of the habit of putting everybody else first and get out of the habit of giving from a place of lack. If you have massive amounts of surplus, if you have plenty of surplus, then it's wonderful to give out of your surplus because you don't deplete yourself in the process. But if you're already depleted energetically and you feel compelled to give and give and give, knowing that you're not going to get much in return, then that just compounds whatever your issues are. It sucks energy out of your system and makes it impossible for you to be truly of service to other people. Is that making sense?
Okay. And do you think that your packages would help me to alleviate these symptoms?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so quite a bit.
It sounded like a good package. All right. Well, thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
You were very informative. Have a blessed day. Thank you.
You too. You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anita. And I just have to say two things quickly before we go to Asha. Number one, Anita, I apologize. I had to cancel. We had a session today booked, but I had to cancel because earlier, I mean, it's coming back, but earlier I was in so much pain that I couldn't move. But I didn't want to cancel today's show with Patrick because I love talking to Patrick, but it's like,
Mm.
I can't do anything else, right? So I had to reschedule Anita's session for later. But it's like it's coming. It's like I've been good for an hour, but now I'm like it's starting to come back to the point where I'm, not going to be able to function much longer.
Yeah, we're pushing 2 hours now.
I know. So I wanted
Well,
to apologize to you, Anita, and hopefully you got my emails. Sure.
no, I didn't get to see them yet, but thank you for verifying that for me.
Yeah.
I hope you feel better. A
Yeah,
lot of
thank
solar
you.
energy's coming in, and you're a very sensitive person. So blessings and healing over you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you. I definitely think it is ascension symptoms and stuff going on. I don't think it's anything serious, but it's like, oh my God. It's like almost in tears because it's so much physical pain, but there's nothing physically wrong with me. So that was one thing. And I wanted to say also, because we were talking a little bit about the heart and some medical terms, Patrick and I are not medical practitioners, medical professionals. So please, if you do have any issues physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, please see a practitioner, a professional for more care. Okay. All right. So because that's, this is going to be on YouTube in a little bit. So I have to make sure we put out that disclaimer. All right, Asha, you want to unmute and then we're going to take Lara and that's it. We can't take any more live caller questions. Okay, so Asha, go ahead.
Sure. Hi. Thank you, Shefali. Hi, Patrick.
Hi.
Hello. So I resonated with just about everything that you said, specifically with one of the things that stood out to me, and it's not that I didn't know it, it's more like it just came to the forefront of my awareness, was that when we're wanting, like when we're pursuing something that we want, right, it's almost like we're telling universe, right, that there is lack, right? We don't have it. And then it gives us the thing that we don't have. So I've been experiencing that, and I'm working my way through it by just bringing awareness and just kind of letting it be. But I was wondering if you had any insight specifically for me, the things that I'm working on and that type of belief and action that I'm taking.
Yeah. So clarify for me, you're doing manifestation work, but it's not working. Is that what you're?
Right. Specifically, I have a few items I'm working, but one at a time. And the forefront of it is, for example, career. It's
Mhm.
going, but it's just not where I want it to be. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. So this often requires some subconscious reprogramming and some shifting of energetic patterns. Um, if you are properly doing a manifestation technique, but it's not working for you, it doesn't mean that you're failing at the manifestation. It doesn't mean that you're no good at it. It means that there are subconscious blockages in the way that are preventing you from accepting and receiving the opportunities that emerge. So when you do a manifestation process of some sort, it's generally not the case that whatever you're trying to manifest is just handed to you on a silver platter. Opportunities emerge for you to have that experience or acquire whatever it is you desire. And then it's necessary for you to receive, it's necessary for you to take action to bring to fruition whatever it is you're working on. So there are lots of different places where there can be blockages. There can be blockages at the base level of simply along the lines of, I'm not worthy of this, or I don't deserve this, or I haven't worked hard enough for this, or I'm not good enough for this. Those are belief systems that we can shift and clear. It could be a blockage on the level of receiving. So you do all the work that sets up the potential for you to receive something, but then you might have belief systems like it's dangerous for me to actually receive this, or it will be too complicated if I receive this, or my friends and neighbors will resent me if I have the level of success that I'm striving for. And then you kind of shy back on the receiving level. So when you're identifying what your desire is, and then you're pouring energy into whatever that desire is, and then you're opening yourself up to receive it. Those are all three different steps, and there are other steps as well. And there could be blockages in any number of them. So we would need to get into the subconscious belief systems that are standing in the way of you receiving. And part of it could be what I'm picking up is there is a subconscious belief system in place that there is no perfect position for you, that whatever wherever you find yourself in your career, there will be dimensions of it that you absolutely dislike and you will not be satisfied. So, because it doesn't exist, it's impossible to have, and then that's blocking you from achieving something better. Is that making sense?
this definitely does.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
And then so working with you would help to like specifically hone into what those things are and then shift it, right? By just bringing the attention and awareness to those programs that are running.
Yes, so we do subconscious reprogramming and belief sculpting. So subconscious reprogramming literally is going into individual belief systems that are limiting and purging them. and installing in their place positive belief systems that support you better, and then getting those locked into your subconscious mind in a way that they run on autopilot in the background. Belief sculpting is more about shifting patterns of belief where there are lots of different beliefs that are interwoven with each other and they all support each other like the strands of a spider web. So instead of working individually on a single belief system that might be holding you back, we work on lack consciousness or poverty consciousness or success consciousness as a larger collection of beliefs. Is that making sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And we would do both of those in a private session.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
Yeah,
That just
thank you.
provided a lot of clarity.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Asha.
Thanks, Shefali.
All right, we're going to go to Lara or Laura. Lara.
Lara. Thanks, Shefali. I hope you feel better. And Patrick, thank you for being here. I have related to so much of what you have said, and what you had said, what the other person was just sharing about the lack. I've always had the I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, and I've been working on that just by I wrote I am enough, I am worthy, and have it taped in my bathroom and read it every day. And I can already feel the difference just in retraining my brain. And I started, I always have lack, and I always feel like I have lack. I never have enough. So manifesting was hard for me as well. And then I started acting as if, and
Good.
just thanking Creator, oh, thank you so much for all this money. And I'd have pictures of envisioned money raining down from the sky, and money just started coming in. Not a ton, but some. So
yeah,
I just want to thank you for that. My question is, I have grief, so much grief in my heart that is, I know from past lives, possibly ancestral as well. What is the best way to release it? Because I've tried different ways and none of them seem to work.
Yeah. I think what's holding you back from releasing the grief, even though you don't consciously remember the source of a lot of the grief that you're feeling, a lot of it is mourning. Some of it is just simply the melancholy of losing things that were important to you. There is a feeling that I'm picking up, subconscious belief system that emerges as a feeling that if you were to let go of the grief, it would dishonor the person you're grieving. That somehow you are required to, or you have to hold on to the grief, because without the grief, you will forget the person that you're feeling the grief about, or you will dishonor the memory of that person. That they will like fade away into nothing because they've been forgotten now. So there's something about the grief that you're experiencing that's about remembering people who have passed away, remembering people who have vanished from your life for whatever reason, and you're subconsciously holding on to the grief so that you don't lose them forever and they don't fade away into nothing and you forget about them. So the goal that we have is kind of relieve that grief, but still hold in your mind, whether it's subconscious or conscious, the memory of the person that you're feeling the grief for. And that way you have permission to let go of the grief. You're not dishonoring, you're not harming, you're not forgetting, you're not rejecting, you're not abandoning the person that you're feeling the grief for as you let go of the grief. Is it making sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And that's specifically for this lifetime then?
It could be for past lifetimes as well. A lot of times, if there's a deep connection that got severed that created a traumatic imprint, like you're young and a parent suddenly dies and then you're suddenly left on your own, it's extremely traumatic. the grief that you feel then can color the rest of your life and then into future lives, especially if you subconsciously or consciously made a promise to yourself that you would never let go of the grief because it would dishonor the memory of the person who died. You may have taken a vow of holding on to the grief that's still resonating in this lifetime. It could also be in your family heritage. It could be a pattern that's genetic. It could be a pattern that is a tradition within one side of your family to hold on to grief way longer than it served its purpose.
Okay. And if I worked with you, would you be able to get to the root of it kind of and be able to help me to release it?
Yeah, we would actually do all of those things, but it would be clear over time what the most prominent cause is of the reason why you want to hold on to the grief. And it could be as simple as just a belief system that it's dangerous to let go of grief, or it's wrong to let go of grief, or it is you don't have permission. There could be a sense of not having permission to let go of the grief, that you're forbidden to do it because somebody hasn't allowed it. Yeah. It could be you yourself, your subconscious mind that forbids you from letting go. So it could be easy or it could be complex, but we can dig down into it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lara. All right. Wow, I have to say, Patrick, we didn't get to all the things we wanted to talk about today, so I think we're going to need a part two, right? We
Yeah,
covered
sure.
we covered a lot, but we didn't cover everything that we had planned to talk
Mhm.
about. So we definitely need a part two, right?
Okay, sounds good.
But this was amazing. This was awesome, so helpful. It gave so much clarity to a lot of people as well. But next time, in the follow-up call, I want to talk a little bit more um, about the higher self, the transformative power of love, self-love, and the power of the higher self, and being the creator that we are, and being the magic wand that we are, as the
Wow.
higher self. So how we can function in life as as the higher self, right?
Thank you. Thank you. That's important. So thank you.
But this was great as well, right? So I think definitely a part two is needed. Um, yes, lots of information. We did lots of clearings as well, or processes. I think we did 3 or 4, but powerful. We all felt them, right? So I will. Oh, goodness, I can't even talk. I will have the recordings out in a little while. But any last words of wisdom for us, Patrick, before we go today?
Yeah, well, I'll give the words of wisdom that I almost always give when I'm doing a live event like this, and that is it's really easy to beat yourself up about things and to feel like you're to blame for everything that's going on that is limiting in your life, and feeling bad about yourself because you haven't accomplished your goals yet and so forth. And I just counsel people to be gentle with yourself. You are in a process of growth, and the limiting experiences that you've had, even if they've been extremely painful, are building towards something. So let go of all that blame, let go of the self-hatred, the self-disgust, and the other limiting beliefs, and just embrace yourself with gentleness.
Hmm. Yes, absolutely. Have compassion for yourself. We were talking about having compassion for others earlier, but
Mhm.
also have compassion for yourself and for your journey, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not always easy, but it is it's obviously necessary. That's why we are experiencing what we are experiencing. But yes, be gentle, be loving, be caring for yourself as well on
Yeah.
this journey of ascension, and this journey of being our higher self. Um, it's not always easy, but you know what? We have all the tools within us. We have all the resources. We have all the support as well, so we can do this for sure. So, like I said, I will have the recordings out in a little while, so please do go back and watch and listen. And of course, if you'd like to work with Patrick in the two packages, package A and package B, please do check out the special offer page. I will have that link out in the email as well. And what else was I going to say? I don't know, but we'll be back on Thursday for another show. So please do join us then. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for all your questions, your comments, your feedback in the chat. Thank you, and thank you, Patrick. Like always, so enjoy being with you and sharing with you, and I'm enjoying this journey that we're both on.
Thank you. Thank you. Much love to you, and I hope you feel better soon.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody. Until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all so much love and blessings. Bye for now.